reassure you, and for some of you, assure you that what we are doing here, what we are building here, is not about building something bigger for us. No pastor, elder, or leader is interested in that. Let me reorient that phrase. What we're doing here is about building something bigger than us.
Suffice to say, God has truly blessed us, and I'm thankful for what he's done, what he's given us. It's all him. We're just being prayer warriors about this, and we're giving it all to him.
We choose to be different because to make a difference, you gotta be different. If you're gonna make a difference, you gotta be willing to be different. But the reality is, to make these tools work or even make them possible, we gotta give. So just because the plate doesn't pass in front of you doesn't mean the church doesn't need the resources.
If you ask me if the church is doing everything it can to reach the community, and is the church doing everything it can to maximize the resources we've been blessed with, I'm telling you loud and clear, yes. Because I don't know any other churches that are going out and buying and building cafes. I know churches that have cafes within them. We don't have that opportunity. We're trying to build opportunities to fellowship and reach the community.
Attend, serve, give. This is how you build legacy. We're all gonna have a legacy. Some of us are gonna have bad legacies, but good legacies are built. And we're building a great legacy here. I want you to be a part of it, okay? Think about, pray about what you're gonna do here, how you're gonna serve, how you're going to attend. Join a small group, get to know folks, and then give. Because as Burley said, you're never gonna outgive God. He's going to provide for you no matter what you do.
We want to serve and minister to more people here. We want the cafe to be a gateway. We want the Life Center to be a place where families can be built up and the next generation can be sent out.
This is where we believe God is leading us to leave a legacy.
But a bold vision like this requires action.
God is calling each one of us to pray and consider how we would invest in what needs to be sowed today, so what is reaped down the road has eternal benefit.
In 1879, this island was purchased and founded as a Christian seaside resort and meeting place.
Our plan is to bring the island back to those roots, to leave a legacy for the saints today and the saints to come.
So good morning, Landmark Church. My name is Matthew Mayer, one of the ministers here. I am accompanied by one of our elders and the director of our operations, Mark Emmon. If you were with us a few weeks ago on Wednesday, we ran you through what we call a State of the Church meeting. We made some pretty epic announcements. We, of course, shared with you how the Lord is expanding our territory. We want to make sure that we are stewarding diligently what it is he has entrusted to us. That, and of course, includes the time that he's granted us, the talents that he has gifted us, the treasure that each of us are required to steward responsibly, and of course, even in these times, the trouble he has entrusted to us, and that's a big one. So, with that being said, if you're joining us for the first time and you're like, oh no, here we go, I want to assure you that we're only going to take about 5 minutes to give an update about what took place at that Wednesday meeting. Of course, it's still living online. I would encourage you, I implore you to take the time to watch that entire meeting. There was a lot of nuance, there was a lot of details that we're not gonna have the time to give on this particular day, but we can at least give a very specific update about where we're at and where we're going. So I would say today, July 7th, 4th of July weekend, is the commencement of this initiative. And we are confident that the Lord will continue to provide and make it possible to expand his kingdom here in Ocean City. So, Mark, what do we need to know? Where are we at? Talk us through it.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
You may stand behind.
So I just can't get Snowflake out of my mind, Kelly. There's a lot of jokes in that, I know, but you handled it really well. So thank you for blessing us. Always so fun when you do announcements. I'm going to just give you like a real quick abbreviated summary of what we talked about on June 19th at the State of the Church. And there's been several questions that have come in after that. I'm going to attempt to address them in this moment as well. So for those of you that don't know, there's a structure to what we're doing here, and that structure is that, of course, God stands atop of everything we do, and then we're governed by a board of elders, and then we've got our staff, and there's a structure to our staff and how we work together, and there's also a structure to our business. And now the business side of the ministry is that we own several properties in addition to this sanctuary. So we have the cafe that's down at 710 Asbury, and so to purchase that, because they're for-profits, we're a nonprofit, right? The church is a nonprofit. That business will be a for-profit. So we created an 710 Asbury LLC. That's the realty entity that owns that property. And then we created Landmark Cafe LLC. That is the entity that will run the Landmark Cafe. That will be a for-profit business. So we'll pay for our expenses, our taxes, cost of goods, cost of doing business. And then any profit that comes from the cafe, we will dump back into the ministry. And that will go towards our missions, towards the orphanage in Africa, to India, and to support our missionaries. So that's, and there may be other needs as well, but that's our primary focus today on what we're going to do with the cafe. The structure of our purchase of the Storage Inn next door, so for those of you who don't know, our family ministry, our family life ministry is next door. And so we're going to call that the Life Center today. And the Life Center, we were able to purchase from our landlord. After many years of renting there, we had an opportunity to purchase that. And so the short story to that is we were interested in a different property, and God closed the door on that property, and he opened the door on this one that had been closed for years, and we went to a building that was 7 times the size of our original vision and our original hope, and we're blessed with a business that runs there that could support the mortgage. So we didn't have to come and say, we need $1 to do this, because we were able to use that business to support it. Now, the dream and the hope of that building, the Life Center, is to be able to educate our youth, to be able to house and office our staff, to continue to build and grow our care team and have offices where we can have conferences and meetings. And the vision is to, as we invest in that as a church, is to be able to start to take some of those storage lockers out of that building and start to be able to format or fill it out to do more ministry work. That is the vision of the Life Center. So that's the structure of us. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, you can see me afterwards. And so anytime any business goes into an adventure like this, you got to have a plan. And so we're just not like throwing stuff at the wall and making sure it'll stick. We want to make sure that what we're doing is smart. And so if anyone in business ever heard of the acronym SMART? Okay. So SMART means that it's specific, that it's measurable, that it's achievable, that it's relevant, and that it's time-bound. So I'm going to just real briefly speak to those things. Is it specific? I think we're very specific. I just told you we purchased a cafe, and our goal and objective is to reach the community outside of the walls of this church.
Right.
We're taking down walls, right, Matt?
Mm-hmm. Building them too.
And building them, that's correct. And then for next door, as I just explained, is it specific? To me, it's very specific. We're going to take that building, God willing, when we can, and start to remove the revenue source there and start to build it out for more ministry opportunities. Co-ops, you just heard us talk about the co-op that's happening. I would love to have some type of education system for the next generation that's coming up that's so sorely needed with what's going on in public schools today. Our offices for our staff, meeting spaces for our care team where we can bring in.
We don't have, I'm not sure how many people know, we don't have offices for the staff. Right. So when they're done church over there on a Sunday, these guys just set up shop. They bring out tables and they just kind of do work in whatever space or classroom they can get access to. So we're doing unique ministry here. We don't have parking. Yeah. Many of you know that. You're parking down the street. We have a couple parking spots that line up the building.
Yep.
But God continues to bring people, and he continues to provide the resources. And we're in a season where we believe there's an expansion that's taking place. And it's going to be, in my words, a gateway for churches in the area to see the model of ministry where their families are being built up and the family life revolves around the church life, not the other way around. And that's the biblical New Testament model where we are being discipled and we're being sent out Sunday, and I just said to the team, Sunday at noon to Saturday at midnight. That's really the time that we are living out our Christian testimony. And the goal is to come back together on a Sunday to regroup. This is our huddle, to be stirred up unto love and good works, and then to be sent out again into the community. You want to see change in this nation? It begins with you and I living out our Christian testimony. So that's kind of a skinny version of a very thick vision that I'm confident the Lord is in the midst of.
I mean, God's favor is upon us, and so we're trying to take advantage of that. So I think that's pretty specific. And then is it measurable? Yes, it's measurable. We're going to track the funds that we receive. We're also going to provide you periodic updates. We're going to let you know when we do something from a construction standpoint in the cafe. We're going to let you know how we're doing in the cafe from a profitability standpoint. We're going to let you know where we are paying off the mortgage, and we're going to provide those updates periodically as they become relevant. Is it achievable? Well, we're going to show you how in just a minute how it's achievable. Is it relevant? It's definitely relevant. We're fulfilling the Great Commission, which is what the values are that Landmark Church stands upon. And we're going to make disciples, and it is relevant that we are taking the steps as a leadership, as you saw in the video earlier about being focused. I believe we are laser focused, as I said at the State of the Church, on what our goals and objectives are. And frankly, I don't know what more we can do as leaders to be reaching the community than what we're doing today. We are taking advantage of the opportunities that God puts before us.
I don't know what we could do more of in conveying that to the church at large.
Amen.
Right? So if there's still like questions in your mind, I'm questioning what's in your mind at this particular point in the journey. The world we live in is not getting easier. It's only getting darker. And I've made a commitment to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. As the world gets darker, I'm going to get bolder. And I'm going to continue to beat that drum, which I believe the Lord is stirring up his ministers to engage their churches and their communities in such a way that there's a spiritual renewal and it's a new sense of God's Holy Spirit. And if you want to be a part of that, then let's go. If not, I don't know what else to tell you. I really don't. And I'm taking advantage of the captive audience we have and those that are watching online.
Amen.
The Lord is waiting for us to give him our all. When you give him your all, step back and watch him begin to work. That's where we're at right now as a ministry.
And then lastly is time bound. And so we did put a time on this. We said we're going to try to do this in a year. It may take 2 years. It may take 3 years. I don't know. God knows. But we need to start somewhere, and we need to have a goal and objective, and so that goal is 1 year. So I'm going to talk now about how it's achievable. Well, our goal is $5 million. I wanted $10 million, but we're starting at $5 million. Because I'm thinking the more resources we have, the more ministry we can do. So our goal is $5 million. The cafe was $1.4 million. We paid $950,000 for the cafe, and we're going to spend about $450,000 in fixing it and doing the work that needs. There's some structural work that we have accomplished and finished, and then all of our furnishings and fit and finish and flooring and ceilings and tables and supplies and equipment, are going to be about $450,000. So I had a couple questions about the $950,000 where someone said, we already gave the $950,000. Why are you asking for it back? Or why are you asking for it again? And what I'm asking for is that there's a capital reserve that we keep. And so sometimes when decisions have to be made, like that decision had to be made, we had to move and we had to move fast. And so with God's blessing and from the blessing of this fellowship, we were able to take those resources and make that purchase immediately, which is what we had to do. And so what we're trying to do is put back and replenish that capital reserve that we had to use for that. So I hope that answers the question. If anybody has any further questions on that, feel free to see me. And then we paid $3.6 million for the Life Center, and we're trying to pay back that mortgage. Once we pay that mortgage back, then we'll look at what the next step may be. We may do one of these again one day where we're saying, hey, we want to build out the third floor into a gym or whatever, right? So
we're not interested in, obviously, the traditional route of capital campaigns. Please hear the heart behind the ask. Not interested in bringing an outside firm to tell us what to do with what God has entrusted to us as leadership. also not interested in putting anybody in a headlock and saying, we need money. We don't need your money. I serve a God, in my particular experience, who provides perfectly every step of the way. So I'm confident he's gonna do just that. I'm confident there are people that are watching online that are with us from a distance and they want in on the action as well. So I think it's more or less an invitation of where we're at with the facts, here's the numbers, and for you to prayerfully consider how you want to partner with your church to accomplish that and expand that territory. So I get it. When we talk money, people get funny. Me too, right? That's why we don't pass around any baskets. You will not see me up here from week to week. We're gonna teach the book, we're gonna worship our God, and we're gonna trust the Spirit to work in the hearts of his people individually. That's what we're about here.
That's right. That's right. And then finally, we also presented what was called Ideal Achievable. And so there were some questions that came up about Ideal Achievable. Ideal Achievable was, we wanted to throw something so people had a sense of what's it going to take to succeed in 1 year to raise $5 million. So we came up with Ideal Achievable. And so some people said, well, that's not going to work, and you should change the timeline, and the amount should be, this was just for illustration purposes to show you that if we had 400 people that gave $225 a month and 200 that gave $750 and 50 that gave $3,500 for a year, that we could raise $5 million in 12 months. So there was also some confusion when I talked about how many people are giving. So there's individuals that are attending the church, and then there's giving units. So there's on average 650 to 750 people that come here live every week. There's 300 giving units. So that could mean that Kelly and Chuck are one giving unit, right? And Matt and Sarah, and Mark, right? So, and a family. But I'm also going to tell you that there's 1,100 to 1,400 people that watch online every week. And I don't know how many people that is. I don't know if that's 1,100 to 1,400 people, or if they've got a family with them, or if they've got several people with them. We know there's some small church environments that actually, in people's homes where they're watching what we do. And so I'm imploring and asking our online audience as well, or if you've got 700 people here and you've got 1,100 or 1,400 people online, add those numbers together. And I'm saying, hey, split that in half if we're all a giving unit, and there's more meat on the bone. So again, I don't want to be up here asking or crying for money, but I'm also saying God is doing a work here. His favor is upon us. I can feel the power in what's happening here, the joy in coming in every week, the honor of knowing each of you and being a part of this ministry. God bless you all, and thank you so much. Anything else, Matt?
Great job, man. No, nothing more in this regard. We'll be making updates as we feel necessary. Cannot thank you enough for your due diligence, your involvement, your support, your contributions. You have no idea how much ministry gets done, not only here locally within our work week, quote unquote, how much ministry is getting done through our missionaries, right? So that's nationally and internationally. We just sent a team yesterday to Guatemala. The South Africa team came back. Welcome back, Johnson family and friends. We, of course, look forward to doing more ministry. I think we'll be hosting Pastor KP. He'll be giving an update on what's happening in India and how Landmark Church is supporting Landmark College, and pastors are being trained up and sent to local villages. I mean, more can be said, and we'll do it at the right time. Thank you for your time, my brother.